Now we have all of our tubes cut. So now it's time to lay out our pattern. So what I have done is I have my sheet here, and you will see that I have taken and drawn with my ruler just some rough diagrams. This is not necessary if you do not want to do this, but for me it's going to help give me boundaries to stay within. So what I've done here, and my earrings are not going to be this big, but it's given me some space. And we will need, when you're planning this and you're laying this out, leave tons of metal around the actual pieces that we're fusing down. So that's about 1.5 inches, and I'm not sure, let's see how wide this is. That is 3.5 inches. And then I just came down about 1/2 inch and marked and made a diagonal. So this is going to be one earring, and that's going to be another. Then I just came over here and did that for the pendant. Again, these are just outward boundaries. These are not the actual size my earrings will be. They will be much, much smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my joist chins and I'm going to cut on the lines. I'm going to cut them apart. There's no need to keep all of this attached. This is great use for the joist chins. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put this on here. We want this nice and flat. And I'm going to I'll just take my leather mallet, flatten that out, turn it over, and flatten that again. Okay. Really, it's just that edge. And then make sure this is nice and flat as well. Now, you can lay this out here. In fact, I encourage that. However, if you get a pattern you love dearly, then trying to transfer it over to your charcoal block and then flux everything might be a bit challenging. But since this is the first time you're doing this pattern, let's play with it a little bit. So I've got 2 pieces here for my earrings. Another component we're going to need are teeny tiny little jump rings. So if you have any little bitty jump rings left over from the beginner project where we put those tiny little jump rings around the holes where the ear wires went in, and then where the we made a different one for the bail for the pendant, we're going to need those again. So I'm going to break here, and then I'm going to find those little jump rings because I need them. So I didn't have any more little bitty jump rings, so I'm going to make some. So I have my 20 gauge wire, I have my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to place the wire on that mark. Let me get my other pair because they are actually the line is marked more vivid on there so that you guys can see. So there I have my lines. So I'm going to just put the wire in there and I'm going to turn. I'm going to feed the end off so that I can keep that wire right there on the line. The last wire or the last turn I want to keep right on that line. Now I'm going to make several because, as I said earlier, I use them a lot. These are actually bigger. I'm going to cut those loose. Now I'm going to make smaller ones, and I'm going to make them right on the very tip. So you're just going to eye this. You're going to turn, and you're feeding that end off of the pliers. So you're watching this over here to make sure that that last turn is always in that same place. I'm going to make several just to have a few extra, so you never know when you're going to drop one or what's going to happen to it. So these are going to be for the earrings, and these will be for the pendant. So now you need to saw your tiny little jump rings apart. I'm going to make this tail at a 90-degree angle. So that I can put it in that little hole and hold it and saw it. I'm going to saw these apart and I'll be right back. These are so small, I'm holding them by the tail rather than putting the tail in the hole. And then I'm just kind of pushing my finger up against it. And when one comes off, I'm just removing him from the blade. I remember when I first started out, cutting jump rings was something I absolutely hated. A lot of this stuff will you will not enjoy in the beginning. But practice, let me tell you, the things that you do not like to do are the things that you need to keep doing over and over on purpose, even if it's just doing them for practice and not actually on a project. And I thought I had another little ring in there, but I can't see it. But I do have plenty here, and so now we're going to be ready to lay out our pattern. Alrighty, now it's time to cute little hairdo I got going on there. I've played with the pattern just a little bit, and this is something I want to encourage you to do, but I know that it's so much easier to do once we have it fluxed. The little granules just want to fly everywhere and roll everywhere, and it's hard to really get your pattern going that way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to flux it. We're going to go ahead and put it on our charcoal block, and we're going to work with it there. Now, you have seen me use the little condiment cups, putting flux in it and putting the little bits in it and pulling it out. But when we've got sheet, it's much more challenging. You can't do it very well. I know we have done some things in that, and we've brushed it up on it. But let me encourage you just to get a little small lid of some sort. This is, I don't even know where I got this, but it's just a little shallow lid. And I'm just going to pour a little bit of flux, just enough to kind of cover the bottom there. And I'm going to put that there. Then I'll be able to put my sheet in it. Now I've got a scrubby here, and what I want to do is I want to just scrubby this really, really good. It will make it nice and clean. I'm going to go ahead and do both sides, even though I don't need to. Let's see, that one is for my pendant, and this one is for my earring. Now I've played with a little bit of a pattern on this one, so I'm not going to move it off yet, but I'm going to put that in there and get that fluxed and put my charcoal block up here. Now I went out and I leveled my charcoal block. It's really important, particularly when working on sheet type things, to have a very level block. The way that you do it is you just take the rough side, so this one's still rough, and I would put it down on my patio, my sidewalk, whatever, and I would just whoosh, 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 whoosh it around. That's a technical term though, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. So I went out and made that very, very flat. So now I'm going to take the sheet and I'll lay it there. And I'm going to set it aside so I don't knock it off there. Now I'm going to transfer that to here, but also I need to remove that Sharpie from the tubes. So I have a bit of a paper towel here. I'm going to put some fingernail polish remover because I'm out of acetone, and I'm going to pick first this tube up, and you'll see how easy that Sharpie comes off. We don't want anything to inhibit. Whoops, looks like I didn't get it all. We don't want anything to inhibit the fusing or the joining process, let me say. So I'm just going to transfer the part that I've been playing on over here, and then I can work with it from there to get the pattern. Okay, so we're going to continue adding our design here. Play around with it and get it the way you want. Now on the earrings, this little tiny jump ring is going to go at the very top. That is what we're going to put our ear wire through. Play with it a little bit and get the best side of your ring if you feel like one side has a prettier side than the other. And add your granulation. It clings much better with the flux than trying to add it on a dry plate. I have a wonky tweezer end. Needs flattening out. Now this is the funnest part to me of making jewelry, is this design. I love the fabrication, but creating a design, I mean, isn't that what it's all about? So take your time and play with it. Make sure that you get it just right. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of paper towel and wick away my excess flux. think about how it's going to balance. And just add granulation to fill in wherever it looks good to you. Adding all the different textures and designs is going to add interest to your piece. Let me get out some of my little ones. I think I need even littler ones. These are the ones. Some of these are just stuck together by flux. They are not fused together. Okay, now for security's sake, I always like to add, now I've scooted that way up there. Glad I noticed that. For security's sake, I always like to add one tiny little ball on each side of that earring ring. I'll add another one here in a minute as soon as I shift my pattern. Be sure and look at it from all sides and then wick away the flux and get another really good look at it. And remember, you can take your paper towel and shift as well.